Hello and welcome to Daily Northwestern's new interview show. We sit down with a student athlete for about 10 minutes and hear about their life, their profession, and how much they love their sport. Today we have Sebastian Rivera, the wrestling team. Sebastian, thank you for being here.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
For those of you who don't know, Sebastian is currently the #1 wrestler in the country in 125-pound weight class. He's yet to lose a match this season, and his career has a win percentage of over 90%. He redshirted his freshman year, but was a major contributor last winter for the Wildcats. He finished with a 31-5 record and was an All-American at 125 pounds, as he finished 6th in the country. This season, Rivera has beaten wrestlers currently ranked number 2, number 3, number 9, number 13, number 14, and number 16 in the country. His victory over number 2, Spencer Lee, who's a defending NCAA champion, came in the final of the Midlands Championships. The victory was a 7-3 decision and gave Rivera his first ever gold at the Midlands. Sebastian, when you get on the mat, what's sort of your main goal? Are you trying to pin the guy, get a tech fall, or just win?
So when I get on the mat, I'm just looking to score a lot of points, and that can come from different ways, But I just look to dominate guys. I want to make a statement every time I step on the mat, and make sure that guy doesn't want to come back on the mat next time we have to wrestle.
What's the biggest statement you think you've made this year?
I think beating Spencer by that much was definitely 7-3. Nobody's beaten him by that many points or scored that many takedowns on him, and he didn't score a takedown in the whole match. I think that was a pretty big statement and showed the rest of the country that I'm no joke and this is my year.
What was that Midlands Championship like?
It was fun, man. My parents were there. Got to wrestle in front of my parents for the first time in a while, and a lot of family was there. And I rolled through that tournament. I tech-falled everybody up until Spencer, and I was just feeling really good that tournament.
Mm-hmm. Take me through sort of that match against Spencer. How did you sort of figure out the ways to beat him?
We talked about it a little bit, but me and the coach, we talked about it a little bit. I just move my feet and get to my takedowns. I kind of just drill out there. That was the main goal, is to drill out there and get to my leg attacks, and everything else would fall into place, and it kind of did. I got to his legs a lot, and every time I got to his legs, I tried to finish, and for most of the time I did. So that was just the goal, to get to his legs and be on the offense the whole time.
What do you mean by drill?
Drill out there, just feel loose, not so tight that it's a match. Just got to be out there and drilling and having fun, So kind of like that.
When the ref raised your hand afterwards, what was going through your mind? What were you feeling?
I'm the #1 guy in the country. That's what I was feeling. Just beat the #1 guy. I'm the #1 guy in the country now, and it was a good feeling for a little bit, and I got right back to work.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned Spencer. Over the last few weeks, you've had opportunities to face some of the best wrestlers in the country, but for seems like different reasons, whether it be a forfeit or setting the secondary guy, you haven't faced some of those guys, including Spencer this past week. What goes through your mind when you don't get to face these guys?
When I get a forfeit, it's like I don't know. It sucks. You train all week for this one guy, and then he doesn't show up, or you don't get to wrestle him. I didn't have a match for 2 weeks, last week. My first match was Iowa in a couple of weeks, and that's crazy to think that in the middle of the Big Ten season I can have that many forfeits, a whole weekend without wrestling somebody. And it sucks. You train all week to wrestle these guys, and they don't show up. But what are you gonna do? Some different reasons, injuries. They got to do what they got to do. So it's tough.
Do you think they're avoiding you?
In some cases it's obvious. I won't say which ones, but some no. I know others that they've had concussions, stuff like that. Some of them were hurt and stuff like that, but other cases now I know they're just avoiding wrestling.
Do you think that sort of dodging is good for the sport?
It's the worst for the sport. You see everybody saying it. It's not good for wrestling. You want these big-time matchups. It gets people watching, gets people that are maybe not don't know much about the sport. They see a big-time matchup, they're like, wow, I like wrestling now, and now they're interested in wrestling. But when we're dodging these big-time matchups, it's tough to get those other people that aren't really in the sport to come in and chime in and watch.
When do you find out if you're not going to wrestle somebody?
Weigh-ins. If they don't weigh in, it's pretty simple there. Or if you don't see them warming up, some of these guys will have street clothes, and then when everybody else is warming up, and you're like, all right, you're not wrestling. So that happened twice last week. The other weekend, I Wisconsin and Minnesota, so I was just like, all right, but it's nothing you can really do.
Mm-hmm. If coach ever came up to you and said, they were going to sit you for sort of a coach's decision, as some of these coaches have called it, what would go through your mind?
You gotta respect it in some sense, but then you also gotta be if you want to go, they can't tell you that you can't go. There's some times where coaches tell me you don't have to go, and I'm probably the best decision for me because I didn't feel that great and stuff like that. But if like I felt ready to go and he told me to sit, I'm gonna have something to say about it, you know. And that's just the way the sport is. We haven't come to that yet. Most times when they tell me to sit, it's the right decision, so I respect it. But I could see the other side where you're like, Coach, I'm ready to go. Like, you're not sitting me this match, you know.
Mm-hmm. Now you're probably going to face these guys later down the road. Definitely Big Ten championships, maybe even NCAAs. Just give you extra motivation to sort of show them what you got.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't felt the hands yet, you know. Now they're going to get to feel one of these matches, you know.
For just the Spencer Lee one, in particular, I thought it was the biggest matchup in every single sport across college. Do you feel for the fans who showed up and just didn't get to see some of the best wrestlers in the country?
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. I mean, it wasn't that crowded in this place when that match happened, you know, because I think some of them got the memo before they got here. Like, Flo tweeted that the match wasn't happening because when Spencer didn't weigh in. So those guys that didn't want to come, they didn't get to come because they saw that. But the guys that were here and didn't get to see it, I mean, it sucks. But there's also how many fans on the internet waiting to see that match and didn't get to see it. I mean, nothing I can do. I mean, I showed up.
Have you communicated with any of these guys who haven't wrestled you at all?
Nah, I won't do that. That's not my MO. I mean, I'm not gonna. You got to do what you got to do, right? Whatever you're prepare you for the end of the season. If that's what you want to do, that's what you have to do.
I respect that. Who's the person you love competing with on the mat the most?
Like competing against, like opponent. You're saying?
An opponent, or even just in the weight room right now.
Probably the competing against is probably my coaches, Jimmy and Brewer. I mean, they're the two that make me work hard, you know. I go down there and I don't know if I'm going to win that day, you know. Like when the match is that day, and I'm like, that's like a different feeling that you don't usually have, you know. For me, I mean, some like my partners, like they make me work, but I'm gonna put them on them. But like my coaches, I'm like, man, today's gonna be a tough day. You know, I got Jimmy today. I got to work really hard today, and he's gonna make me work really hard. So that's cool. I love that aspect.
How do they get you better when you're on the mat?
Man, just putting me in uncomfortable positions. You know, everybody's good where they're comfortable, and when you can be good and where you're not comfortable, like where I get put in somebody with wrestling Jimmy and Brewer, that's where I feel like I grow a lot.
How do you push yourself to be the best wrestler you can be?
Extra workouts, recovering, nutrition, all those type of things, you know. Like I run in the morning a lot. Like I don't have to do that, but I do that because I know it's going to make me better at the end of the day, and it helps with the weight and stuff like that. So just getting extra workouts and recovering, right, hitting the ice bath, stuff like that.
You mentioned weight there. We talked a little bit before we start speaking on camera, but how worried are you before weigh-ins?
The days prior, more worried so than the day of, because when the day of, I'm like a pound over, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to make weight. Like, there's no issue there. But, like, when you're during the week, you know, I try not to get above 33, 35 at the highest, you know, so you kind of think about it at all times.
Hey, what's the closest you've ever come to not making weight?
I mean, I've weighed in at 25.0 right on the dot, but, like, that's only because I lost a pound during the warm-up. Usually it was like 1.5 pounds. So, like, I knew I was going to make the weight, but I was like, oh, man, I was a little close that time. But, you know, I mean, I have really only this year I had one match where I was, like, right on the dot. I was like, oh, man. And, like, I just didn't feel that great. And I made weight, and we won the match. So that's all that matters now, you know.
I feel that. Your father was a Division III national champion wrestler. What would it mean for you to become a national champion?
It would be, for him, he would love it. I mean, he's my biggest fan. He's texting me all the time, seeing how I'm doing, stuff like that. But, yeah, he just wants to see me succeed, you know. I'm not wrestling for anybody, but he loves that I wrestle, and he would love to see me win a national title, for sure.
How are you going to, you're number one right now. How are you going to stay number one until the end of the season?
Just keep wrestling hard, you know. I mean, nobody wants to wrestle 7 minutes tough. And if you can do that, make it harder than any other guy, they're going to break.
All right. Sebastian, thank you very much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Anything you'd like to add? Anything you think you want to mention?
Go Cats.
All right. Thank you very much.